Second meeting. We want to welcome everyone. Thank you for getting up fairly early, I guess, to be here. And we ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Representative Blanton,
Present in the room.
Representative Bowling,
Here in the room.
Representative Bridges,
Here in the room.
Representative Birch, Representative Cantrell, Representative Dossett,
Present in the committee room.
Representative Dotson,
Present in the room.
Representative Duplessis.
Present in my district.
Thank you. Representative Flannery, Representative Fugate,
Here in the room.
Representative Johnson, Representative Kirk McCormick,
Present in the room.
Representative Marzian, Representative Miles, Representative Gibbons-Prunty,
Here in the room.
Representative Scott,
Present.
Representative Stevenson.
Present in district.
Thank you. Representative Wesley,
In the room.
Representative White,
In the room.
Chair Gooch.
Here. Okay, we do have a quorum, so we're constituted to do business. I would, if we were doing trivia, I would ask if you knew what day it is, but it's Manufacturing Day at the Capitol today, and so we want to welcome all of our manufacturers out there. We also have with us, I think, today we have Chris Driver, who's chairman of the Kentucky Association of Manufacturers. Is that correct, right? And then also Frank Genley, who's the executive director. So. And other people too numerous to mention, like Rusty and others. So anyway, we're glad to have you all this morning. We only have one bill today, so we don't expect this meeting to last too long. It's House Bill 45. Representative Bowling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And we do have a committee sub. I will explain.
We have a motion. You have a second on?
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So we've adopted a committee sub, so proceed.
All right.
Introduce yourself and your guest or whatever.
Adam Bowling, State Representative, 87th District. And with me, I have
Rusty Kress on behalf of the Kentucky Association of Manufacturers.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to present House Bill 45 today. This is a piece of legislation I'm very excited about because it could help spur economic growth while at the same time helping to reduce plastic waste, a win-win opportunity we don't often see. The bill simply provides for transparent rules for a new type of technology that actually breaks plastic waste back into the molecules the plastic is composed of in a process that we're calling advanced recycling. This process is more akin to a manufacturing process, so it defines these facilities as manufacturers rather than solid waste facilities. And it also establishes the rules and guidelines and definitions that these technologies and what processes would be used. We're already seeing big investments in other states that have passed similar legislation. Eastman Chemical in Kingsport, Tennessee, they've had an investment of a $250 million facility in the past 18 months. There's a slide presentation. We don't have that today, but it shows that Kentucky could support 8 such of these facilities, and it would have an economic output of $78 million annually and save 360,000 tons of plastics from going into landfills. The other benefit of this technology is that it is actually able to recycle plastics that wouldn't typically be recycled, like styrofoams and plastic wrappings. So we are creating additional recycling markets with this technology as well. We heard this bill for information only last session. Since that time, the Energy and Environment Cabinet requested that 2 minor changes be made in the bill, and those are incorporated in the current version. In addition, the Kentucky Resources Council and the American Forest and Paper Association requested modifications, and those are reflected in the committee substitute.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the bill. Are there any questions? Representative Scott.
Thank you, Chairman. Just one question, Representative, just so I'm clear. What are the differences between the original bill and the committee substitute?
Let me take care of that.
Sure.
Representative Scott,
There-
thank you for the question.
There were three changes. Two of them were further defining the processes, and we can get those pages. Rusty can get you more information on it. And then there was also a section added at the end in Section 3. There were some folks concerned that there might be a cost factor with tax credits, and this bill would not affect those at all. There was kind of a conversation going back and forth with some folks about, would these tax credits apply? Would they not? And so we just went ahead and strictly defined it in the legislation. But on the two changes, the definitions, Rusty can handle those because they are technical.
On page 11, I'm pretty sure it's page 11 on the committee sub, but it's subparagraph 55. The definition of advanced recycling, we added the sentence at the end that makes it clear that if you're converting the post-use polymer into a fuel substitute for the use in energy production, that it's not considered advanced recycling.
Thank you so much. And not in the bill, but Representative, just to the question of the PowerPoint, is that the one that was presented last session?
Yes, ma'am.
It's basically the same thing?
Same exact thing. Same PowerPoint, same video. We to save time, we didn't do that again because I know everybody's already seen it once, but it's the same information you received last session.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. Tom Fitzgerald, did you have any comments that you wanted to add?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, good morning. The only thing I wanted to follow up on for Representative Scott, and first let me express my appreciation both to Representative Bowling for carrying the bill, and also to Rusty, who is a colleague and a friend of many years, for his flexibility in adding a couple of provisions that address concerns that I had. To underscore the need for the bill, there are only about 9% of plastics that are utilized in the marketplace are recycled, and the rest of them are either going to legal disposal, filling up our landfills, or end up in places because of illegal disposal. We're all familiar with the ocean plastic issue. So those, what Rusty had asked for is that the manufacturing processes that utilize these post-consumer plastics by depolymerizing them and making them available as feedstock be treated like other manufacturing facilities. And I think that's a legitimate point. There were two concerns I had that were addressed. If you look at the definition of disposal, it no longer exempts advanced recycling, so that any waste that are generated by the processing of plastics and any waste that are generated by the manufacturing are both covered the way that wastes have always been covered. There's no exemption there from the Resource Conservation Recovery Act. I know that there have been some that have raised concerns that there's an exemption from RCRA for any hazardous waste or solid waste. That's not the case. As with any other type of recycling is not disposal. The products of that process that are waste will be covered. The second point is there is already an exemption for material processing facilities that says that they are otherwise subject to regulation by the cabinet for nuisances and for other off-site impacts. And we simply moved a phrase in one of the definitions to make it clear that although we are saying that use of this material for recycling is not waste management, that the cabinet still retains full authority to regulate any adverse environmental impacts, including nuisance impacts. So I think the bill, the committee sub strengthens the bill, and it just makes more clear what the intent is and what the intent isn't. And I would encourage you all to give it a positive response, because I think it opens a potential avenue for further utilization of waste plastics that are now just being landfilled or otherwise disposed of. Thank you.
Okay. Representative Kurt McCormick.
I'll just have a question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was really excited when I heard about this plastic recycling bill. I had suggested in the past to our county to start a plastic recycling program. it's a fantastic idea. We see so much plastic in eastern Kentucky with where most people buy bottled water and drink the bottled water, and then you have all the plastic waste. I was discussing it with a lady that was over the Pride Board in Pike County, and she was talking about that they had tried some recycling projects in the past, but the costs got so astronomical that it just wasn't feasible. Can you elaborate on how we could do this to make it financially feasible for our county to get involved in a plastic recycling project?
Sure. And as you just heard Mr. Fitzgerald say, I think 9% was the number right now that plastics. So, I mean, this opens up another market for plastics. Those numbers I gave you as far as 8 facilities, $78 million in economic output, and 360,000 tons of plastics diverted from landfills, that is only if we capture 20% of the plastics in use right now. So a lot of the recycling that what we've done in the past is mechanical recycling, and that's the actual taking of plastics and then shredding it and using it as a filler material in yoga pants, in hat bills, in things like that. So this opens up another market to where it takes every plastic out there and puts it back down to its molecular level, and then those plastics can be sold for people to reuse again and again. This water bottle right here that Rusty has, that's a product of advanced recycling. So it opens up a lot larger market, and would give counties another opportunity to get economic, I guess have an economic line to put this technology in place and to put recycling in place in their counties.
And if I may add, Representative, I would certainly think that it'd be a wise thing to do is contact the Energy and Environment Cabinet folks and see what kind of grants are available to get seed money started on something like that. Tom may know exactly where that money is, but I'm not familiar. But they're very approachable there, and be glad to help you out.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We have a motion for passage of House Bill 45 as amended by the House Committee Substitute. We ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Representative Blanton,
Aye.
Representative Bowling,
Yes.
Representative Bridges,
Yes.
Representative Birch, Representative Cantrell, Representative Dossett,
Yes.
Representative Dotson,
Yes.
Representative Flannery, Representative Fugate,
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Johnson,
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Kirk McCormick,
Yes.
Representative Marzian, Representative Miles, Representative Gibbons-Prunty,
Yes.
Representative Scott,
Yes.
Representative Wesley,
Yes.
Representative White,
Yes.
Chair Gooch.
Yes. The bill passes with favorable expression that same should pass. We thank you very much, committee members, and we look forward to our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.